Okay, so imagine this for a second. You wake up one morning and your job doesn't exist anymore. Not because you got fired, but because it just isn't needed. You don't pay rent, you don't pay for groceries. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, this is basically what Elon Musk told one of the biggest news outlets in the world just a few days ago. He said that by the year 2036, 10 years from now, money might just stop mattering. And here's the part that really got my attention. The US Treasury Secretary, the person literally in charge of America's money, went on TV a couple of days later and said, "Yeah, I actually agree with him." So today, I want to slow this whole thing down with you. What did Elon Musk actually say? Why does he believe it? Where do the smartest economists in the world think he's wrong? And most importantly, what should you and I actually do with this information? Let's get into it. So here's the setup. Elon Musk sat down with Jenny Minton Beddoes. She's the editor in chief of The Economist, one of the most respected news magazines in the world. And this interview happened at his Tesla factory in Texas and came out on July 23rd and 24th, 2026. Now, before I tell you what he said, I want to be upfront about something. Elon Musk's been spectacularly right about some things in his life and spectacularly wrong about others. So, the only sensible way to approach this is to actually examine the argument itself, not just take his word for it as because he's Elon Musk. That's what we're going to do together. In that interview, he said, quote, "Money won't matter in 2036. Not that it disappears, that it stops mattering. And that distinction matters more than you think." Here's his reasoning. In the simplest way I can put it, Musk believes AI is going to get smarter than every single human on Earth combined. And he thinks that happens in about 5 years. And he believes that within 10 years, humans won't really be running the world anymore. AI and robots will be doing most of the heavy lifting. Picture millions of robots working 24/7, building homes, growing food, making clothes, doing basically everything, never getting tired, never asking for a paycheck. He actually has a phrase for this. He calls it a quasi infinite economy. An economy that produces so much there's basically no limit to how much is available. And his logic is simple. Unlimited supply means prices drop to almost zero. And if prices are basically zero, why would you even need money? That's the whole argument. And by the way, this isn't the first time he said something like this. He said almost the same thing back in November 2025 at an investment forum in Washington, D.C., and again in December 2025 on a podcast. So this is a thesis he's been clearly be building in public for months. Now, let's give him some credit here because honestly, this isn't a totally crazy idea. Think about your own life for a second. 20 years ago, if you wanted a logo designed or a document translated or a basic website built, you had to hire someone and pay real money for it. But today, AI tools can do a rough version of all of that in minutes, often for free. So, we've actually already seen a small example of what Elon Musk is talking about. He's basically saying take that same idea and apply it to everything, not just logos and websites, but food, housing, clothes, cars, all of it. And honestly, that general idea isn't unreasonable. But here's the question nobody seems to be asking enough. Does cheap stuff actually mean no money? Let's think about this together. Money isn't really about paying for things. Money is a tool we use to share out things that are limited. That's the whole job it does. So ask yourself, even in a world full of robots and AI, what stuff stays limited? Land in the middle of London, a beachfront house in Malibu, good farmland, electricity, the computer chips that actually run AI, political stability, a safe, well run country to live in, and people's time and attention. None of that becomes unlimited just because robots exist. A robot can't manufacture more oceanfront property for sure. And here's the deeper point economics was never really just about survival, it's about preference. Someone will always want the better neighborhood, the better school, the better view, the better reputation. Scarcity never actually disappears, it just changes shape. So, as long as something stays limited, some form of money or something that does money's job is probably sticking around. Now, here's a moment right after the interview, which I think is genuinely one of the most interesting parts of this whole story. An MIT economist named Darren Azemulo, a very reputed name in this field, basically called Musk's bluff. He said, okay, if money really is going to be meaningless soon, why don't you donate your fortune to charity by 2036? It should cost you nothing, right? Musk's net worth, by the way, is close to $1 trillion. His response was pretty light. He joked he plans to do something similar eventually, but he didn't commit to a number or a date. And I think that little exchange tells you everything. Because if you truly believed money was about to become meaningless, giving it away should feel easy, right? Now, here's the part that made me sit up straight. Scott Bessent, the actual US Treasury Secretary, went on Fox News with Sean Hannity and basically said, I agree with Musk, I just push the timeline out further. This isn't some random person online making a bold prediction. This is someone inside real government policy circles publicly saying Americans might not need to save for retirement the way we always have because AI abundance could handle it. Whether or not that turns out true, the fact that it's been taken seriously at that level is worth sitting with. So here's where I actually land on this. I don't think is Elon Musk right or wrong is even the right question. The better question is what if he is only partly right? What if he is, say, 30% right? Because even a smaller version of this future changes a lot. Let's do a quick thought experiment together. Person A owns 100,000 robots. Person B works alongside those robots every day. Who ends up richer? Almost certainly person A. And that's actually the deepest question buried inside this entire story. It's not will robots replace jobs? It's who owns the robots. That's the $1 billion question. If AI and robots really do make human labor dramatically cheaper, then owning the robots becomes the most valuable thing, not doing the work, which means the old advice work hard, get a good job, save your salary might matter less over time. And the real question becomes what productive assets do you actually own? There's one more thing I think Musk is underestimating, and it's a big one. He's assuming technology moves faster than everything else. But history tells a different story. Technology changes fast, but governments, tax laws, central banks, property rights, immigration systems, those move painfully slowly. Even if the technology is fully ready by 2036, I don't think our laws and our systems will be ready for it. The tech can move fast, but governments, banks, and rules, they always take much longer to catch up. Let me make this personal for a second because I think that's where this conversation actually matters. If a 16-year-old in your life asked you today, what career should I prepare for? Would you give the same answer you'd have given 5 years ago? Probably not. And that right there is why conversations like this one matter. They're not just interesting headlines, they change real decisions people are making right now about their kids, their savings, their careers. So let's make this practical. If there's even a decent chance the world moves in this direction, here's what I'd personally be paying attention to. One, think about owning productive assets, not just earning income. That could mean stocks in the companies actually building this technology, real estate, or businesses that generate value on their own. Second, keep an eye on who's building the electricity and computer chips that power all of this. Because if AI and robots actually do end up running most of the world's production, then electricity and computer chips become just as important as oil is today. And whoever controls that controls a huge amount of power. Third, geography. If AI really does create big winners and losers around the world, not every country benefits in the same way. So, where you and your family are based starts to matter a lot more. Political stability, strong institutions, and having options in more than one country, that's not just a nice idea anymore. It becomes real protection no matter how this plays out. You don't need to bet everything on Musk being right. You just need to make sure you're not caught unprepared if he's even a little bit right. So, what do you think? Is Elon Musk onto something real here? Or is this a bold headline that won't age well? I don't know whether money actually disappears by 2036. Personally, I doubt it. But I do think we are entering a world where intelligence gets cheaper, labor gets cheaper, and production gets dramatically cheaper. And history has shown us again and again that whenever something becomes abundant, something else becomes scarce. The people who understand what stays scarce are usually the people who end up building real wealth. Let me know what you think in the comments. Seriously, I read all of them. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. It really helps this channel grow. This is Rakib Rashon, and I'll see you in the next video.